Let me just confirm that everything's working right. Should be. But yeah, we good. All right, cool. Fix my headphone here. Big win, y'all. Now obviously the Saints were not at 100% today. That was very apparent. I mean, obviously Ian Book starting for one thing. They had like 22 players out, but still a much needed victory that we did go ahead and go get. So, hey man, I am super proud of this team for just not quitting, man. We were 1-7 earlier this year, and we're now knocking on the door of the playoffs. Like, I don't know what our eventuality is going to be this year, but just the fact that we are competing for a playoff position at this point is insane to me. And it just further concretes the idea for me that Brian Flores is absolutely our guy moving forward. Chris Greer needs to go. I don't like him. His player acquisition abilities have been proven to be awful, especially with the draft. But Brian Flores has done very well with the players he's been given. And we've just shown time and time again that this team does not quit. And it's just been fantastic. We came out in the second half just how I wanted to. We started setting the tone on first down, not just waiting for second and third down to really, set the precedent. We started attacking right off the bat in the beginning of drives. And the more we started to get ahead, the more Ian Book was going to have to throw the ball. And that's when we really started to just eat him alive. I'm not sure exactly how many sacks we ended up with, but I know it was a lot. And even when we weren't sacking him, we were hitting him all night long. And it was fantastic to watch. The 2 picks as well. Defense just played absolutely fantastic. Yes, the Saints were beat up. They weren't healthy. They weren't good today. Ian Book played pretty bad. He played decent considering what, the circumstances he was under, but still. But overall, our defense played very, very well. Offensively, definitely still some struggles. Offensive line was horrible today. They have been most of the year. Last week, rather, I'm sorry. They did play a little bit better against the Jets, but, it's the Jets, so who cares? And they still weren't that great then either. They were just better than usual. But that's just going to be a thing that we're going to have to deal with this year. There's not much we can do to fix our offensive line right now. So we're just going to have to wait that out. But Tua, for the most part, played pretty well. The interception he had was absolutely stupid. The thing about Tua is that his biggest issue is patience. He's very accurate and he can make very good decisions at times, but he definitely does get impatient. Unfortunately, with our lack of offensive line, and that leads to us not being able to run the football effectively. So teams don't respect our running game, and they shouldn't. So what ends up happening is they end up running quarters, like the majority of the games. Like when I do my film sessions of our offense, like you'll see it. I call it out all the time. They're doing quarters. They're doing cover 2. They're just keeping all their players back. They're not really rushing us. They're just kind of letting Tua throw. And they're just kind of letting him, pick him apart underneath and just try to tackle. And the reason that they do that teams do that is because they're hoping that if you have a slow, methodical drive, you're eventually going to slip up. That's the hope for that type of defense. And when you have to play against that sort of defense, you just have to stay patient and just keep taking what the defense is giving you. If they want to just let you nickel and dime them all day, then keep doing that. whatever it takes to win. But sometimes Tua gets a little bit impatient and he tries to take big ass chunk plays and it just ends up with bad situations. So if he could stop with that, I think he'd be he'd be pretty much fine. A better offensive line would help with that because if we could actually run the ball effectively, and they wouldn't be able to just keep everybody back. Because ideally, if they're going to be running quarters and they're keeping their whole defense back, ideally we shouldn't be throwing in those situations at all. We should be running the football in those situations, but we're just not able to do that with any type of consistency. But despite that, the play call has been very improved these last few weeks. I love the way that we are getting creative to use Jalen Waddle. I love the idea of having him line up in the backfield and get him in motion before the snap and just stop them from being able to jam him up. Just attack the defense in so many different ways with Waddle's explosiveness. I personally love that idea. I wouldn't mind straight up handing the ball off with Waddle. I wouldn't even mind some Wildcat stuff with Waddle and Ahmed when he gets back, or Waddle and Albert Wilson or something. I think that could be really cool. Tell you what would be dangerous. Obviously, we can't do it right now, but whenever he's healthy, if he returns next year, if we get Lynn Bowden, if we can have him be our Wildcat guy, because he was a quarterback in college, and then have Jalen Waddle next to him, we could play around with that a lot too. That's just kind of something to think about for next year. But whatever. Because unfortunately, we do have to do a lot of those trick plays. I do like the Wildcat idea. I'm kind of done with the whole Jacoby Brissett thing, bringing him in on third downs and stuff like that. It just doesn't work that well because we don't actually do the QB sneak with him. So I'm not sure how much they're really biting into that anymore. I think I think the Wildcat is more effective for us in those types of situations. And I want to see what would happen. On the goal line, we have a tendency to, bring in Christian Wilkins as a fullback. I would like to just hand it to him, see what happens. I'm interested in seeing that, but who am I? As far as defense this game, there isn't really one player that really stood out. We just kind of whooped their ass all day. Jerome Baker played pretty well. I'll have to watch the film to really get an idea of who really blew that up, but I was noticing Jerome Baker quite a bit. Raekwon Davis also made quite a few plays too. Just really eating up blocks and stuff like that, and playing contain, not letting Ian Book scramble too much. But overall, it was just a really good effort from the defense, not letting Ian Book's athleticism hurt us too much. And like I said, I know the Saints are in a really bad way right now. They're already not a fantastic team, and then with all the injuries and then all the COVID situation, it was a pretty bad situation for them coming in. But I still have to respect Sean Payton. He made it a fight in the first half, but we eventually just stepped on their neck and just took the game over. Now, next week is going to be a much rougher matchup. Enjoy this win now because the Titans are going to be a lot rougher. Unfortunately, because we did obviously play Monday night, I'm not sure when I'm actually going to be able to drop the film session for this game, just because I'm not sure when that's going to hit Game Pass. Probably going to be Friday or something, which sucks. So what I might do is actually scout the Titans first and drop those on Thursday, and then give my film recaps for this game on Friday. I might kind of swap them. I've done that a couple times throughout the year, so I might think about doing something like that. But we'll kind of see what exactly we're going to do there. That's going to be another really heavy defensive fight. I'm not really sure how we're going to get past the Titans defense. That's going to be a rough matchup, I think. But Hey, man, at least we have a shot. We have a legitimate shot at making the postseason at this point. So I'm happy with it. The Bills gave us this opportunity to at least, control our own destiny, and we made the first step in continuing that. We are the first team to lose 7 in a row and then win 7 in a row. So shout out to us. Hopefully we can finish this off and make the playoffs. That would be crazy. And I think the Titans, let me take a look at the Titans depth chart. I mean, to be fair, with our offense, especially our offensive line, it doesn't really matter. It's always going to be a defensive fight, but um, yeah, they're running more like a 3-4 nowadays. They have Jeffrey Simmons as a 3-4 outside linebacker. I mean a 3-4 defensive end. I'm sorry. He's a really good player. Tart is a pretty good nose tackle. Autry, Harold Landry is a fantastic edge rusher. Bud Dupree was out this week. I'm not sure what he's going to be looking at next week. But they just have a really good front seven. Janoris Jenkins is good. Christian Fulton's good. Kevin Byard, Amani Hooker. Like, they have a pretty damn good defense. But especially that front seven. Like I said, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry. If Bud Dupree plays, that's a little scary. Zach Cunningham, David Long, Rashawn Evans at linebacker. Like, they got guys to be a bit of a threat. I'm not really sure how any of our tackles are going to stop Harold Landry or Bud Dupree if they play. That defense, and Jeffrey Simmons is also a monster too. I'm not really sure how our offensive line is going to deal with that. Something that I've been wanting, like, first of all, this assumes that we have some of our backup offensive linemen back, because we didn't have any of them going into this game. We were without Kinley, Hunt, and Mance, because they were all out with COVID. But assuming we at least have some of them back next week, what I would like to do is kind of like what Dallas has been doing. I've been talking about this every week. Is I'd love to bring in an extra offensive lineman on some plays, both in the run and pass game, just to try to help out with that shit, man. Like, they can pick one. I would rather bring in Solomon Kinley, because I think he's the best guy who's not starting. But that's me. I think we really need the help. I think we're going to have a heavy dose of Adam Shaheen as well, because he's our best blocking tight end. It's going to be rough, man. And those defensive backs aren't a joke either. They got Buster Screen as well. He was out this week. I mean, I'll get into the the game day report next week as well. As far as who's active and stuff like that, we'll have a better idea of that next week. But it's going to be a rough ass matchup, man. The defense looked legit. Offense still really struggled. But I think the Titans are going to play us hard next week. I really do. Because if they beat us, then that will clinch up the AFC South for them. And that'll close out the Colts. So I think they're going to play us pretty hard. So, that's exactly how I feel too about our offense. Our defense is really good. Obviously, we could still do a little bit better attacking on first down. We started to do it better in the second half today. If there's any weakness in our defense, it is our first down. If we can get people to like a second and long, third and long situation, and we can really tee off on them with those exotic blitz packages we have, then we can really pick them apart. But if they can get a decent field position, like after a decent first down, we struggle a little bit more there. But in the second half today, we really did a much better job just setting the precedent right off the bat, and just getting aggressive. Offensively, like you said, Tua just needs to really shore up his decision making. Yeah, you're not crazy. I mean, you're not wrong. Um, but the thing is that Parker is used more on teams that do a lot of zone. Uh, Devontae Parker is a very good zone coverage beater, but the Saints do a lot of man coverage, and they especially did it today. So there's that too. Like Gesicki also didn't get many touches, but he usually does. I would like to be able to throw the ball downfield, but I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier in the stream. I'll kind of get into it again. One issue, and this kind of goes into one of my issues with Tua as well. So just a little bit of a tweak. I want him to, just continue to elevate his game with. Because of our offensive line being so bad, we can't really get any sort of running game going consistently. And because of that, teams aren't respecting our run game. So, like when we do play action or RPOs or anything like that, like they're not really respecting our running game. And what ends up happening is teams end up running a lot of quarters, like a lot of cover two. They're just keeping a lot of their defensive backs like back in a shell over the top of the defense. And what that causes is it makes it very hard to take deep shots because they already have everybody back. They're literally challenging Tua to throw it underneath and not get impatient. And that is one of my issues with Tua is he has very good decision making and accuracy for the most part, but you do see him get frustrated sometimes when he's not making those big plays. When he is just playing within the offense and taking what the defense gives him, Tua looks very, very good. But like on that interception he had today, and he's had a lot of these throughout his career so far, those really boneheaded interceptions usually come from when, he's getting frustrated and he just tries to take a shot anyway. And it usually ends up being an interception. And that's why the deep shots don't really work. Plus, we have such a hard time protecting Tua long enough for routes to develop like that. Yeah, it's tough though. Because Mac probably has the most consistent hands on the team, like in contested catch situations. Waddle is fantastic for being the safety blanket. Will Fuller is still hurt, but I honestly don't care. Like, I don't care about Will Fuller anymore. In my opinion, Albert Wilson has replaced Will Fuller. In my mind, like it just is what it is. Obviously, he was out today because of COVID. Because he is a guy that will usually give you some touches too. But I don't know. I would like to get Devontae Parker more involved too. But like I said, for me, Devontae is more so of the zone coverage beater, and they really didn't do a whole lot of zone against us today. It was mostly man. But again, they are playing off of them. They're not really pressing too much because, again, they're challenging Tua to throw it underneath and not make a mistake. Yeah. I am kind of ready to just pull the plug on Preston Williams. I'm not going to lie to you. For me, Matt Collins has been everything I wanted Preston to be. The problem is that Preston can't stay healthy, and when he is out there, he drops the football too much. Like at the end, that's really what it is. Like for a guy that doesn't really create space, he's not that fast. He's supposed to be this big body possession receiver guy, but he drops the football way too often to be considered that. Meanwhile, you have Matt Collins, who is a better, contested catch guy. He has more consistent hands. He's a better blocker, and he gives you value on special teams. So I just think Matt Collins is just a better version of Preston. I don't think he's as athletically gifted as Preston, but he's more consistent. Like you can trust him. Hopefully we can hang on to him because his contract is up this year. Matt Collins, actually Preston's contract is up too, but I'm kind of just ready to let him walk. I'm not sure how much money Matt Collins is going to ask for. Hopefully not too much. He's mostly a special teams guy. But yeah, it's been kind of tough. Let's see. The running game again, like Duke Johnson had a really good game last week. Didn't really have too much success today. He had the one like really big run. I still want us to run the ball more than we are because we may not be breaking off these huge runs. But for the most part, when we're running the ball, we're still getting like 3-4 yards per carry, which doesn't sound like a lot, and it's really not, but it still makes it an easier second and third down and just kind of helps you with the RPOs that we like to do. And that's like the most effective thing we have. The offensive line's just bad, man. that's really what it is. Whoever is involved, whoever is in charge of evaluating these prospects sucks at it. We've had all the picks under the sun in the last 2 years, and very few of them have actually worked out. For the offensive line, I probably agree. It would still be bad, but man, let me see if I can actually kind of take a look at who is actually available. Let me pop out the chat so I can actually see you guys while I'm doing this. Okay. Move y'all over here. But unfortunately, we just haven't been able to consistently evaluate talent on the offensive line at all. Yeah, in the offseason, I agree. I want to get at least 2 solid prospects and then at least draft one more. Yeah, they are awful, man. Like I'm not even gonna lie to you. We go to free agency 2021 positions, offensive line update. Oh, whoops. I meant to go to all teams. Available. Let's see. Bobby Hart is awful. Yeah, there's really not much, man. Like right now, there isn't much available. Like there's unfortunately nothing we can really do to fix the offensive line right now. We just have to wait until the offseason. I agree. I would like. I don't really care what position we get 2 vets at. I just want to get 2. We can get a tackle and a center, a tackle and a guard. I don't care. 2 guards. I don't care. I just want to get 2 veterans this offseason for offensive line, and then probably draft at least one more because it's unrealistic to expect us to get 5 new starting caliber offensive line in one offseason, especially now that we don't have the picks we had. Austin Jackson's still pretty bad, man. He's better at guard than tackle because his feet aren't as big of a liability, but he's still horrible. I'm not really a fan of any of them. If anything, I would rather see how Liam develops, just because he is a rookie. I thought Tua played fairly well today. Like I said, the one boneheaded play was really stupid where he just got impatient and tried to rush it. But for the most part, I thought he was okay. Yeah, Jesse Davis should have been gone a long time ago, man. That dude's been getting our quarterbacks killed for a long ass time, dude. even with Tannehill, like he was getting Tannehill killed. Like that's how long it's been. But it's I don't understand why he's here. Like I feel like he's got to have some sort of blackmail on somebody. But I really can't stand any of them. Yeah, I'm not expecting like the Great Wall of Dallas. I just want like Robert Hunt. Like I don't think Robert Hunt is that bad. Like he gets some penalties and stuff, but I feel like if you had three other offensive linemen who are competent, like decent, and if Robert Hunt is your worst offensive lineman, that's not a bad situation to be in, you know? But the fact that he's our best, probably, just really goes to show you. Yeah, yeah. The holding call for Liam was really, really bad. There was a lot of bad calls today. I won't say it was bias, because they made a lot of really stupid calls that should have gone in the Saints' favor as well. They just seemed really stupid, and that's been an issue for the last few years. I feel like as Tua, he throws the ball downfield, everything will open up for him. Yeah, I think a big part of that is the offensive line and us not being able to run the ball effectively, though. Because the problem is trying to throw it downfield when you have four defensive backs back there. It's very difficult to do. We really have to be able to draw people in with the run, but they have no reason to respect our running game. The really big plays we have had this year have mostly come from blown coverages. So, like, I would love to be able to take more shots downfield. Like, we have people like Albert Wilson, Mack, obviously Waddle. Like, we have some guys who would take deep shots. It's just the offensive line is so bad. It's very difficult to come up with those types of plays right now. And like I said, Tua just gets impatient sometimes and tries to force it, and that's where the picks come from. So I don't know. I would love to be able to take more shots, but until we fix our offensive line, I don't think it's viable to do it often. Like I said, when teams end up having like a blown coverage, do it. But it's kind of rough right now, man. Like I can't even remember a time we've had like a really good offensive line. Yeah. Our defense was fantastic. Yeah, I do agree that we are overusing Waddle a little bit. He is basically our entire offense. But I like legitimately feel like if with the defense we have, with the sacks and turnovers we cause, I feel like if we were even a middle of the road offense, we would be out of here, bro. Like if we had like the 15th best offense, we'd be nuts. Like, I'm not asking for much because I realize that our strength of our team is the defense, and it's hard to have Hall of Famers all across the board. That's just not realistic. If the focus is going to be on our defense, fine, but we can't have the worst offense I've ever seen. Yeah. I agree, but again, those play actions and stuff like that are very difficult to do when you're not running the ball effectively. It's hard for you to consistently be able to dupe the defense into freezing, because that's basically what you're relying on. When you do play action, you're hoping that some of the defenders either stop moving and freeze, or they come forward, and then you can throw it over their head. But if they have no reason to respect your run, then they're not going to come up like you want them to. So again, like we get occasional plays like that flea flicker, but to be able to have any kind of consistency with it, we have to fix this line. It's just an unfortunate truth. That's why this offseason, like this past offseason, I was so gung-ho on trying to fix this line. Like, I love Jalen Waddle. He's our entire offense. I love Jalen Phillips. Like, he was my number one edge rusher, and Waddle was my number one receiver. But Rashawn Slater being right there was crazy. And that was even why, like, when we drafted Javon Holland, who has also been a really good player for us. But, man, Landon Dickerson and Tevin Jenkins were also sitting right there. It's been rough because I had a feeling it was going to be like this. I was hoping that the rookies from last year would progress, like Austin Jackson, Robert Hunt, Kenley. I was hoping that they would progress, but I had no real reason to believe that they would because the coaching staff hasn't shown their ability to coach offensive line. Like, I love um, the culture that Brian Flores has brought to us. We definitely have a much better winning culture now, but their ability to actually teach offensive line technique is abysmal. Like, I feel like some players have gotten worse since getting here. Like Liam Eichenberg. I wasn't a massive fan of trading up to go get him in that situation, but when we drafted him, like if you go and look at my videos on him pre-draft, he was a guy where his technique was pretty good. His hands were solid. He had a good anchor, decent feet. But the issue with him is that he was a little light in the butt. He wasn't that strong. And now that technique he had is gone. Like, he used to get his hands inside pretty consistently, but now he's like bear hugging people. Yeah, but I think that's fine. Like, I don't really mind the picks we put into it, like the picks we used. The problem is we just picked the wrong players. Like that's what it is. Like, Austin Jackson was clearly a bad player. I'm trying to remember back to that class. There was a guy I wanted over Austin. Was it Josh Jones? Was that his name? I can't remember. He went to, I think it was Houston. But I remember there was another offensive lineman I wanted over him at the time, and that's just always been the case. Like, there's been guys available. Yeah. That's what it is. But there was just guys I liked so much better. I agree, but I feel like if you draft the right players, it's fine. Like, if you look at Rashawn Slater, like, I don't mean to pat myself on the back here, but if you go and look at what he's done for the Chargers, he's been incredible. You know, like, he's been beating the shit out of people. Like, day one at practice, he was whooping Joey Bosa. And I do agree that we do need to sign some vets too. Quinn Meinerz, I wasn't a big fan of him either. I mean, I would take him over like Michael Dieter. But Creed Humphrey, I wanted Landon Dickerson. Like, we had that conversation in the draft, but Creed was gone in the first round. But when we took Holland, Landon Dickerson was staring us in the face. And so was Tevin Jenkins. I would have been fine with either of them. Like, I love Javon Holland. Like, he's the centerpiece of our defense right now. But boy, I don't know. Safety versus offensive line. I think offensive line is a little more valuable. But I understand if they were afraid of Dickerson's like injury, but Tevin Jenkins doesn't have that problem. Dickerson ended up going to the Eagles. I actually did a film session on him a few weeks ago with his game against the Bucks. Played pretty well against Ndamukong Suh. They actually have him playing guard right now, not center. Huh? What do you mean they drafted Tua? I got you. I got you. Because the injuries. I got you. Yeah. Yeah. The injury thing was a concern for him though, because like Tua had a freak injury with the hip, but Landon like consistently was getting hurt. I think we got to do both though. I think we have to do both. Like, I want to get like 2 starting caliber offensive linemen and then draft a guy too. I don't want to just draft because we don't even have the picks to pull that off. to just draft guys. I want to do both. Last year, I wanted to do it mostly through the draft because we had all the picks under the sun. Yeah. Speaking of Iowa, you got your guy Linderbaum as well. He's looking pretty incredible as well. This year's got a few offensive linemen I really, really like. Let me pull up my draft position rankings right now. This is a rough estimate right now. This is not final. Offensive line's looking really good. Quarterback is horrible so far this year. Defensive line is kind of all over the place. Linebacker is looking pretty promising, which is good because I do want to get a linebacker at some point. Believe it or not, Linderbaum is not my number one offensive lineman, though. He's my number one center. But, whoops, we'll open up the wrong file. Accidentally opened up last year's instead. Kenyon Green from Texas A&M is my number one offensive lineman right now. I think he can play tackle or guard for you at a very high level. And I just value tackle a little bit more than center. Center is very important too, but at this point we need all five positions. So, yeah. Luckily though, the Miami Dolphins have $75 million in cap space this year. Now, some of that I would like to go to Mike Gesicki to try to keep him. I would also like to try to rework Xavier Howard's contract. Yeah, I feel you. But here's the thing. If it's Tyler Linderbaum, I'm not going to be upset because he's incredible. And he just really gets people lined up properly. Kenyon Green is the guy I want. He's a tackle, at least so far. I'm still very early into the class. There might be some better guys I haven't seen yet. But so far, Kenyon Green is my guy. But I just want to focus really heavy on offensive line. I'd like to get a running back as well. Like I said, linebacker. And also in like the later rounds, I'd like to get like a kick returning wide receiver. Like I know we had Grant, but he just couldn't catch the ball consistently. Because I don't like Jalen Waddle doing it. I don't like that risk. I also don't like Javon Holland doing it. I don't want to risk them getting hurt. So I'd like to take care of that. Also, later rounds, if we wanted to draft a quarterback or something, not to replace Tua, but just to have a long-term backup, I'd be okay with that too. Well, that's the thing, though. We talked about possibly picking up some vets. I would like to sign a vet to play right tackle. That's my thing. Like, and unless we want to draft a tackle. Like, that's my thing. I want to draft two vets and draft a guy in the first. However they want to make that work out. So, that's me. And Jesse Davis should be gone anyway. I just want to revamp this offensive line. I don't care how they do it. I don't care because all five positions are bad. We need to replace them all at this point. So if they want to get, two tackles, a tackle and a guard, a center and a tackle, I don't care. And then draft somebody else. Last time we signed a vet tackle. We signed Eric Flowers and moved him to guard, but he was bad. I can't think of the last time we signed a good tackle, to be fair. It's been a while, but to be fair, really good offensive linemen don't usually leave their team because good offensive line play doesn't exist that much in the NFL. It just doesn't. Very few teams like have like even 3 good offensive linemen. Like Dallas is lucky right now. They got like 7 guys that I think can play. But most teams like really struggle. Like I'm not sure what the pool of free agents is even going to look like this year. Like I said, I'd like to sign a vet, but I don't even know what's going to be available. I don't know if I'd want to give up the cost for Laramie Tunzel, to be fair, because we need more than one guy. I don't know though, because we also can't draft, so I don't really know what the point of all these picks are. Even though we don't actually have that many this year, but I don't know. So maybe I think Connor Williams for Dallas is probably going to be getting released this year. That's probably going to be a thing. So maybe we can pick him up and plug him at guard. He could also probably play right tackle as well. He was a tackle in college. I don't know. We'll just kind of have to see with that. But like I said, I do want to really expand at that position. I want to at least get 2 vets at somewhere on the line and then draft one more in the first. Running back is pretty decent too. I haven't seen anybody that I would like run to go draft in the first round, but Zach Charbonnet at UCLA is a guy I really like. But there's some other guys like Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M, Brees Hall from Iowa State rather. There's some guys I like. I do want to draft one at some point too. It's not my high priority. I really want to shore up this line first. And then I want to get a linebacker, a running back, and like I said, I do want to kick returning receiver at some point. Then after that, I don't care. If we can take care of that, I'm good. Maybe another corner. Because I'm not sure what we're going to do with Nick Needham because his contract is up. I'm not sure if we're going to extend him, so maybe a nickel corner would be good too. But we'll kind of see there. That'll be like a day 3 guy probably. Because Noah can go. Noah can go. That'd be cool, but I kind of just want a guy that can do it all. Like Zach Charbonnet, I think is probably going to be a day 2 guy that I really like. I think he can do it all. Now he's not like an Ezekiel Elliott or Saquon Barkley type of running back. Like he's not a guy you want to go sprint to go get. I haven't really found any of those yet, but I do really like him. Let me find my notes on him real quick. I have a video coming out for him at some point. I have it recorded already. If it's not out yet, it might be. Not sure. Yeah, here we go. So he's 6'1" and about 220 pounds. So he's a pretty powerful runner too, and runs very, very hard. Doesn't stop his feet. Really good balance. Solid blocker. Gives you some value in the receiving game as well. In 3 years of football, he's only fumbled the football once in his entire career. High effort. Has some wiggle to him. Has the speed and burst you want. Vision's great. Violent as hell. Just that's my guy so far. I want to get him like somewhere in day 2. I wouldn't mind drafting like maybe honestly I wouldn't mind doubling up on offensive line. I wouldn't mind going O-line first and second round, to be honest. just to really seal that away. That's my thought. And then like maybe third round go running back. Maybe I don't know. A lot of time for me to change my mind. There's still a lot of guys I have to watch. I've watched about 40 players so far. I usually watch around 300 to 400 somewhere in that range. So I have a lot of work to do still. So my opinions will probably change as far as the draft goes. But let's take a look at that now. Let's see. Let's do an NFL. We can talk about the NFC too, I guess. I believe we were supposed to be in after winning this game. I believe we were supposed to slide into the seventh seed. Yep. Okay, so the Chiefs are number one. I'm doing AFC first. Then you have the Titans, followed by the Bengals. Then the Bills are the AFC East leaders right now. And then the Colts, Patriots, and then us would be the wild card. Then you have the Chargers, Raiders, Ravens, Steelers, Browns, and Broncos chasing. NFC, you have the Packers leading it off. You've got Dallas number 2, then the Rams, Bucks, and Cardinals. Then you have the 49ers and Eagles as well in there. And on the bubble for the NFC is the Vikings, Falcons, Saints, and football team. Yeah, if the regular season were to end right now, we would be playing the Titans in the playoffs. If the season were to end right now, we'd be playing the Titans in the wild card game. Yes. It works out pretty weird. Someone was trying to explain it to me because in my mind the Raiders should be in over us because they beat us head to head, but I guess it gets really messy because there's like a 4-way tie. I guess it's not a 4-way tie anymore. It's a 3-way tie between us, the Raiders, and Ravens. And it kind of just works out because we also beat the Ravens. It's weird. Best matchup. Boy. Patriots, maybe? Because the Colts aren't going to catch the Titans, probably. Because otherwise, I think it'd be the Colts. I don't want to play the Bills again. I really do not want to play the Bills again. Bengals, maybe? I don't know. I'm not really confident in us in the playoffs, like making a run. I just want to make it to the playoffs, and we'll figure it out from there. First, though, we got to beat the Titans this week, which is kind of interesting because if the season were to end today, we'd be playing the Titans, and we have to play the Titans this week anyway. I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, we're going to find out because we have to play the Titans and Patriots anyway. So it's going to be a fight, man. This offense is such a question mark. I think our defense can keep us in the game with anybody. Like, I don't think there's anybody in the NFL that our defense can't at least give us a fighting shot against. But our offense is so horrible that I don't know. We're gonna go as far as our defense can take us. So that just is what that is. But I think I'm gonna end the stream here though. It's midnight where I'm at, and I'm probably gonna get some sleep. My voice a little hoarse as well. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get the film out when I can. There's no Thursday night game this week, so like I said, I'll probably try to scout the Titans Thursday and put those out, because it's probably going to work out that the film for this game probably won't hit Game Pass until like Friday, unfortunately. So I'm probably going to try to do that then. And instead of making y'all wait forever, I'm probably just going to scout the Titans first and then recap what we did today. So, yeah. Anyway, that's going to do it for this. If you liked it, I appreciate hitting that like button. If you have any questions or comments, in the comments down below after this becomes a video, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.